Let me talk to you briefly about the actual investigation. There are three parts to it. Part 1 that investigates the impact of dilation on a length. Part 2 that investigates dilation on slope. And Part 3 that investigates dilation on angles. So when you're done, you should have a firm statement about what that relationship is. Now what I want to show you is just how to do a few things. In the first one, you're going to investigate, you're going to measure a length and then change some scale factors and look at how it impacts length. And there's some instructions here, but we always like to see it. So if you click on this, up will come the actual activity. And if you noticed here, it says measure the length BC. So if you come back here, here's our BC. Now, just so you know, BC doesn't have to be the same for everybody. You can actually change BC to be whatever you want. But to measure BC, you have two ways to do it. You can go to the measure area and click distance. And you can physically just click on the segment and it will get it. Another way is to measure by clicking on the points that you want to measure. So if you go to measure between the points, if you go distance, measure, you could click on the points themselves and it will do that measurement. That's actually helpful because we might have you measure other things than just these two segments. But here are the measurements, and here's your scale factor. The scale factor can get changed to 2.25 and so on. So back here, it will have you put the original length down. It will have you change the scale factor and put in the image length and divide them to see what ratio you get. Then you'll do it again. You will change the scale factor to something else like this, 1.25, and you will go record this distance of 5.3 as the new length and then divide them out and so on. You'll see the relationship formed. Promise, it's not that bad. You will measure other lengths like O to B, and again, to help you out with that, if I wanted to measure from O to B, I would pull out my measurement tool. I would click on O and click on B, and it measures that for me. Or O and B prime, it measures it for me. So as I change the scale factor, I have those two measurements. The next thing it's going to do, after you've figured out that relationship, you're going to now do the impact on slope. If you it tells you how to measure slope here, but if we go back here, if you scroll down, there's a brand new one that says for slope. And slope is very easy to measure. You pick the slope tool and then you just click on something that has a slope. And those are the slopes of those two lines. And we're looking at how do they change. If I change my scale factor, how does that change the slope? And you can kind of see that already. The third one, after you figured out, it's a very short exercise. The third one wants to know the impact on angles, and it talks about how to measure an angle. To measure an angle, let's go down to the third exercise. You would choose measure angle, and you could, an angle is referenced by 3 points. So if I want angle B, I would say O, B, C. That would measure this angle, 77.77. And maybe let's just make this a little bit bigger. If I wanted this angle, again, I would pick the measure angle tool and go O, B prime, C prime, and so on. Any angle that you want to measure, select the 3 points with the vertex being in the middle. And that's basically the exercise. You know you're done when you've done all 3 parts and summarize those, then you're ready to go try some questions in Canvas.